When the Trudeau government passed Bill C-92 in 2019, Assembly of First Nations Regional Chief for Quebec and Labrador, Ghislain Picard, says the Quebec government had a choice. Either hand the reins of child welfare to First Nations or take it to court. Now it's days away from going to the highest court in the land.
And I've said this to the governor of Quebec a number of times. You had the opportunity to do things differently, but you have chosen the other route. And as we've seen in the past couple of weeks, the government of British Columbia has decided to adopt a law that gives that capacity for First Nations in that province. Why isn't it possible for Quebec to do the same?
AFN Manitoba Regional Chief Cindy Woodhouse says provinces should be working with First Nations to implement the legislation rather than fighting them in the courts.
Provinces and territories must work with First Nations to support the implementation of the Act and First Nations laws through meaningful engagement, not fighting First Nations rights and jurisdiction by taking us to the Supreme Court.
For his part, AFN BC Regional Chief Terry Teegee says by challenging the jurisdiction of the bill, provinces like Quebec are only further perpetuating an already broken child welfare system.
The statistics show that many of our Indigenous children are in care, and as we've stated here many, many times, here in Canada, it's the new residential school. Whether it was 60s Scoop or child welfare or the millennial scoop, far too often our children are in care, and this is why our Indigenous peoples need to assert our jurisdiction over child welfare.
Federation of Sovereign Indigenous Nations Vice Chief David Pratt had this message for both the Supreme Court and provinces.
What I want to remind the provinces and the Supreme Court is that our laws and jurisdiction over our children existed for 10,000 years and more on Turtle Island here in this area. And I just want to state for the record too as well that not only are we supporting the Quebec challenge, we are also united in terms of asserting the jurisdiction and the sovereignty that we've never given up.
The Supreme Court will hear the case on Wednesday and Thursday. The AFN Special Chiefs Assembly begins tomorrow in Ottawa. Fraser Needham, APTN National News, Ottawa.